Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for coming here. Today we are playing Phasmophobia. Now, today I wanted to do some more of the Insanity Randomizer Challenge. Last time we got to a streak of 10, and then we lost to an Onryo because we lit 2 candles, it blew it out, and on the way to light the 3rd candle, it blew out our lighter, which we didn't notice. And so the 3rd candle, which was the 4th flame, prevented the hunt. So I guess that's a little bit of skill issue on my part. But a couple things that have been happening in Phasmophobia lately have made me want to create a post about changes that I think Phasmophobia would greatly benefit from. So I made 2 posts I wanna explain out loud. One of them being some changes to some ghosts, and one of them being changes to the truck. So let's look at this together. So the first post I made was about specifically the Goryo, the Yurei, and the Dots. So if you've been noticing in my previous videos, these ghosts kind of suck. They just have interactions that are way too rare, or they are way too... It's mostly just that they're way too rare, but these ghosts are way too hard to identify if you're not able to just collect all their evidence. And on top of that, the Dots itself is pretty crap. So let me explain. So basically, the Yurei has 2 ways that you can identify it. The first way is that the Yurei is a lot more likely to close the door of any doors around it. It can do an interaction where it closes all the doors, or at least more than one door in the room, I think, which reduces sanity. And it can also shut the front door without a hunt or event. The issue with this is that this is pretty rare. You can go long investigations without the Yurei doing its ability, and if the Yurei does do its ability, it's very hard to determine that it was a Yurei that did this. So I think one thing that helped with this is that the inclusion of the Tier 3 EMF. So if the ghost is a Yurei and it does its double tap on the door, the EMF 3, I believe, will give EMF 2 times at once. This still is it's still a pretty rare ability, and it's not very easily recognizable, and the fact that it relies on a specific tier of EMF also makes it kind of bad, because in my opinion, and I might be a little biased because I'm doing the Insanity Randomizer Challenge where we randomize the tiers of the equipment, but I should think that all interactions should be detectable with all tiers of equipment. The equipment should make things a little bit more easier to use at best, but it shouldn't gate interactions behind it. So this is a very, very rare thing. I think it's a very easy fix. I think the Yurei should do this maybe a little bit more frequently, and I think it should be a little bit more obvious. So, for example, if you're imagining you're in an investigation zone and a ghost, it closes all the doors around you. You don't imagine maybe it just slowly closing. You imagine maybe the doors open a little bit first. Maybe they slowly open, and then all at once they slam shut. That would be spooky. That would be super scary, and that would be just super neat. I think that would be a cool thing. I keep looking at my cam because my hair's sticking up in the back, but I don't really care. Another thing is, the Yurei, when you smudge it, it traps it in its room for 60 seconds. So this is very weird for several reasons. The first one is, why 60 seconds? For most ghosts, smudge sticks last 90 seconds. So why is it stuck in its room for 60 seconds? That discrepancy doesn't make any sense at all. But to make it worse, the Yurei can still do ghost events while you smudge it. And after you smudge a ghost, it's actually slightly more likely, according to the wiki anyway, it's slightly more likely to do ghost events. So now you smudge the Yurei, you have motion sensors outside the rooms to see if it walks by, but then it does an event at you, and it completely nullifies the whole thing. So you may have used some of your smudge sticks rolling out ghosts beforehand, you used a smudge stick to see if the ghost will walk outside the room, and boom, it does an event on you, it wastes the whole thing. So the Yurei will still walk back into its room after this happens, but the thing is, this can just happen with any ghost, and any ghost can just happen to not walk outside of its room for 60 seconds after smudging it. It's just possible, and it's barely good to test. It's still nice to have this to test. So one time I was between a shade and a Yurei, and I had a motion sensor sense the ghost walk outside the room after I smudged it, but that's so rare that this is going to happen. Now, just to tack onto this, interactions with ghosts, I think, should be rare. And these are things you can see with, for example, the Banshee. The Banshee scream is only 1 in 4, and ghosts, like paranormal sounds through the parabolic microphone, already is not a very high chance to happen. So you can go a long time without hearing the parabolic sound, the Banshee scream. On the other hand, also the Deogen, it has a special interaction with the Spirit Box where it'll breathe heavily if you're within a meter of it. Now, this is very rare to happen. It's very unlikely that you're going to know exactly where the Deogen is. So it's just a small interaction that's hard to get. And these things are very cool because you can go a long time playing the game without even knowing these things exist, as long as you're not, just on the internet looking for every single thing about the game. This is something that you'll just randomly stumble into hundreds of hours into your investigation, or, into your play. So that's very cool. An issue is a lot of ghosts with very small things also have very obvious things on top of it. So the Banshee will roam to you like crazy. You set up a couple motion sensors and you'll see it come towards you, go away, come towards you, come away, over and over again. The Deogen, obviously, is one of the most obvious ghosts in the game. If you're hiding and it slowly approaches you, you have a Deogen. So really, you would think that maybe it's the harder ghosts, the Yurei, the Goryo, the Mare, that should have small, very rare things, so that if you're in an investigation for 20, 30 minutes, there should at least be some way to end it, It shouldn't have to end in a guess. So, at the end of this, I also added, try finding Yurei in the high school basketball court. Yeah, the things that Yurei can do are also almost completely tied to the room being small. Not completely, but just significantly harder in these big rooms. Okay, so let's move on to Goryo. So right now, a Goryo will not change rooms. That's the big thing about a Goryo. And also, if you have evidence, it will have dots, but it will not give dots if the player is nearby. So there's a restriction. But on top of that is another restriction, where the dots will not be shown in person. You have to view them on a camera or in the truck. Okay, so this is 2 restrictions on an evidence for dots. Why is this an issue? Let me skip ahead first and talk about dots. Dots is just so rare right now. I have no idea why, and I swear it was more common before they did the item rework. But dots, I just never get it. If you're watching my videos, I don't think we've ever seen dots in person, maybe one time. And then recently we were able to identify a Goryo with dots, but we had to stare for so long. And the Goryo has increased area for dots interaction, so it should be doing dots more. The problem is things in general are just not doing dots. I've come to the point where if I don't get evidence within the first 15 minutes or so, I just assume it's dots, and I'm pretty much always right. Now dots, think about the other evidence. EMF, you just get a beep on a meter. Freezing temperature, you get a number on a stick. Dots, you actually see the ghost itself. So I kind of do understand why it should be rarer. It's the more obvious when you see it, if that makes sense. But it's also just the most immersive one. It's the spookiest one, and it shouldn't be something that you go the entire round without seeing. It goes without saying. On top of that, the dots pen sucks. So when the dots pen came out, I was excited because the way they showed it and just the way it sounded was that you hold this pen out and you aim it around and you can see the ghost as long as it's in your small funnel of dots. I thought that was so cool. I thought, wow, there's a way you can actually, track the ghost. That is amazing. It doesn't turn out to be that way. In fact, the way it normally works is you need to place it down because it's so rare, you're wasting your time if you're just holding out your dots pen. On top of that, it's hard to get a good position for the dots pen, so you have to hope there's a piece of furniture around so you at least get some of the area underneath the pen, and that's not always going to be the case. And even if that is the case, you might be too far away. In general, you're just not going to get good coverage with the dots pen. It's a tier 1 equipment, it should suck, but it shouldn't be impossible to use. And also, that's debatable. Maybe the alternative tiers should be alternatives to the items, and not just complete huge buffs as you go up. One easy way to fix it would just be to put dots pens on tripods. So if you're not an old player of Phasmo, the video camera, you used to have to place it on a tripod, and you used to only be able to view it in the truck. This, I think, was a good change. I mean, a good thing. People will disagree with me, but I actually think the changes made it way too easy. So now you can take a video camera inside, just look around for ghost orbs. You see ghost orbs in your camera, boom, you got the ghost room. It also made the Mimic the easiest ghost to identify in the game, which is ironic because the Mimic is the trickster ghost, and it should be the hardest ghost to identify in the game. And I think that the devs agree with this because the most recent challenge, where you have no evidence, it doesn't bother giving you video cameras, which means you cannot identify it as a Mimic unless you actually tell that it was one ghost and now it's another ghost. That is super cool. That's how the game should be played. And because of these changes, it just made tripods completely useless, and it made looking in the truck almost completely useless. The only point of looking in the truck now is seeing if it's dots. But if it's Goryo, you have to be in person, because you have to see both. So if they want to keep that, that's fine. But if they want to make tripods actually useful, they should be able to put dots pens and really anything on them. You should be able to put ghostwriting books on them. You should be able to put candles on them. You should be able to adjust the height, at least for certain tiers. And at least for dots pens, this would make them a lot less useless. So Goryo's on top of this. If that change wouldn't be enough, or if they didn't want to go on with that, the Goryo needs some kind of change. Because if I'm sitting in an investigation for 80 minutes, I've checked in person outside of the room with my camera, and I've even looked in the truck just seeing if there's dots in general, and I never see dots. That should automatically mean that it's not a Goryo. It should. And if it's a Goryo, you don't have the risk of it changing rooms, so that's even more likely that it should be interacting with the dots. But in my experience, it doesn't. And it just needs something. So, like, one example I had is maybe if, when you smudge the Goryo for that duration, it is the opposite. The Goryo will not show dots in the camera, but it will show dots in person, and it'll be a lot more frequent. That would be pretty cool. It would provide some level of depth to the Goryo. And, again, I've said this before, but in this video where I went 80 minutes without seeing dots, the ghost never changed rooms. Maybe I should have said Goryo, but the second you say that a ghost didn't change rooms, so it has to be a Goryo, is when it's not a Goryo, right? A ghost doesn't have to change rooms. But on top of that, if I've checked this long for dots, I should be able to say the Goryo did not, the ghost did not produce dots, so it can't be a Goryo. It has increased range for producing dots, and I checked for so long, it's not a Goryo. Unfortunately, that's not the case. So this kind of ties into what I was saying at the end here, that like the Banshee and the Deogen have these small interactions. Every ghost, I think, should have some slight interaction, no matter how rare. And it doesn't make the game easier, because when you're playing the game, you don't have all these ghosts. You still only have one. So if you choose to spend the entire time looking at all these small interactions, you'll actually make the game harder for yourself. You'll make it take a lot more time. But this makes it so that, one, as you play the game over time, you experience new things. There's more depth to the game. It makes it have a lot more replayability. But on top of that, if you're in an investigation for over 30 minutes, I think that should be the cutoff. I think that's the point where there should be something about any ghost that you can verify with enough trial and error. And not just staring at a dot sensor and hoping it gives something, but, you know, like something I said, maybe you notice it is giving dots now that I've smudged it, and etc., etc. Maybe that's a bad example, but at the end of the day, giving interactions doesn't make the game easier. Because imagine this, okay, you have a Wraith. It doesn't step in salt. Okay, you know it's a Wraith. Imagine you have a Revenant. You hear it just creeping slowly, and then it speeds up when it finds you. You have a Revenant. There's so many things that make certain ghosts so obvious. And it's actually the more boring ghosts that are the hardest ones to get, which kind of feels wrong. You would think maybe the ones that are just going to kill you are the easiest ones to understand. Maybe not, but at the end of the day, adding small interactions still doesn't add on top of the huge interactions some have. It doesn't make the game easier. It just makes it more interesting and more balanced and less of just like a time sponge forcing you to stay in this house for 30 plus minutes. So I kind of wanted to add on to that with my suggestion post for making the truck more useful. So if you guys are around on YouTube, on Twitch, you probably noticed that Lethal Company blew up. The face of Lethal Company, obviously, it's slowing down a little bit. Less people are into the hype. It's still a super fun game that I enjoy playing, but you get what I mean. But I think one thing I learned, and a lot of people learned from the Lethal Company phase, is that sitting in its truck, the ship, is just a lot more useful. So some examples I had here. In the truck, you can open metal doors, you can power down turrets and mines, you can view the location of players, monsters, and loot at all times, you can send messages to the player, you can purchase equipment, you can use purchasing equipment to distract the dogs outside, and so on and so on. There's so many things you can do in the truck. Whereas in Phasmophobia, if you're sitting in the truck, it probably just means you're too scared to go inside. Now, in Lethal Company, if you're sitting in the truck, that also might mean you're too scared to go inside, but for the other people that are doing it for skill expression, there's just so many things you can do. And this is really good for skill expression and dividing work amongst players, because in Phasmophobia, multiplayer is kind of just something fun to do with your friend, but it doesn't make the game any different. Usually in multiplayer, you have one person that's doing a lot of the work, and then you have other people that are, maybe worst case scenario, they're just live baits. Sometimes they can do other things that can speed up the process, but at the end of the day, it's nothing different. So right here, I wrote the reasons that you would sit in the truck. Okay, watch the video cameras and toggle night vision. This is useless with the video camera update I previously talked about. Observe sanity levels. This is impossible beyond professional, as well as seeing the interaction board. Impossible beyond professional. Seeing the setup timer. This is useless beyond intermediate, and really once you're outside of the need of seeing the setup timer, that's probably when you'd want to start to divide up work and be a little more strategic about your ghost hunting. So the only quote-unquote useful things you can do in the truck is hear and see the motion sensor prompts, and to hear and see the sound sensor levels. So these are things that I think could be useful, like the sound sensor will allow you to hear that a ghost is writing in a book, or you have EMF 5, but because there's just so little things you can do in the truck, it's not worth sitting there and waiting for this to happen. So the goals of sitting in the truck should be that you're able to strongly help with the investigation without just solely sitting in the truck for the entire time. But there should still be some kind of danger to doing so you're not allowed to just sit there forever, if this makes sense. So let me go into more detail. So the first thing I said was that the activity monitor should actually make sense. Now, a lot of what I'm saying could be wrong just because not understanding what the activity monitor does, but I think this is still a fair point. Nope, I don't know anyone that actually knows how to read the activity board. I'm not even sure that there is a way to read it. I know that you can see twin interactions on it, which is not a dead giveaway, but a clue to twins. And I know you can guess if you have EMF as evidence through spikes in the activity board. These are cool things, but if the activity board had more information to read, and it was actually possible to read it, this would just be a very cool thing and allow a little bit more skill expression with looking at the activity monitor. And to play in tandem with that is that in the higher difficulties, they need to stop hiding boards. They need to stop having the broken boards. So having the sanity board and having the activity board allows you to make more educated guesses on what the ghost could be, rather than just making the game easier. So I understand you want to make the game harder, but really the hardest parts about these difficulties is having less evidence, having less places to hide, potentially not having as much sanity at the start, and not having the ghost toys, which are just absolutely broken, like the monkey paw and the mirror and everything like that. They usually provide more reward than challenge. So I don't think removing the sanity board and the activity board are worth doing, if that makes sense. There's a lot more you can do with that that'll help you with your investigation without making it super easy. Like I said here, to summarize it, difficulty restrictions should make the game harder, but not reduce skill expression. Okay, so I also talked about my tripod changes before, that the height should be adjustable, at least at higher tiers, and more things should be able to be placed on it, like the dots pen especially, the book writing, and the candles. But really, I think just about everything should be able to be placed on a tripod. And then also the video camera or ghost orb changes. Like I said, the video camera has been made to be the easiest to use investigative tool now. You can instantly find the ghost room if it has orbs, and you can instantly discover if it's a mimic this way. It should be kind of the opposite. I think ghost orbs are one of the more, just really mysterious evidence, and it should just be as easy as just looking around the camera and boom, you got it. On top of that, the mimic is the most difficult in the ghost the most difficult ghost to identify otherwise, so you shouldn't just be able to find its orbs on top of evidence, or no evidence if you're playing zero evidence, and boom, you know it's a mimic. It should actually be a trickster ghost. So I don't like nerfs in non-competitive games. So you saw that the changes to the temperature that they're making, so they're making, right now, the tier 1 temperature, or thermometer, is the best in the game, because it just gives you the temperature, like a thermometer would. And then the other two just give, like, variations. So I think the changes they're making is a buff to tier 3, where they're making it so you can just hold right-click, which is good. But then they're nerfing the thermometer on top of this, and I think that is an example of a bad change. Why would you nerf something that's not super broken already in a non-competitive game? But the ghost orbs, finding ghost orbs really is insanely broken. It's way too easy, and I actually think if they were to nerf something, it should be that. But they can add more interactions on top of this, so maybe there is a ghost that gives ghost orbs, or maybe there's a ghost that will, maybe it's the opposite, and only a certain ghost will give ghost orbs in the camera. Maybe that could be the mimic. Maybe a certain ghost has faster and or thicker orbs, and etc., etc. There's a lot more they can do with this. Maybe faster and thicker orbs in the truck camera, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of things they can do to play around there with giving small hints to what the ghost is, or making it harder but making it more interesting to find the ghost, or at least some of its evidence. But speaking of items, I think they could add a couple new items to help out with being a truck sitter. So these things don't have to have upgrades, but they can. But I just came up with 3 on my own. The devs can do their work here. But one thing I had was the temperature sensor. So the temperature sensor would basically be like a sound sensor, but a thermometer. You would place maybe something on the ground or like a little square on the wall. I know they have these things in pharmacy fridges. I don't know if this is a common widespread thing. But basically what would happen is you would go back to the truck and you would get a graph like the activity monitor, but it would be the temperature. So the reason this would be good is it would give something to do in the truck. You would be able to see if there is freezing temperatures, or you'd at least be able to see if the room is warming up. Maybe the ghost changed ghost rooms, and you can give the investigators inside a heads up. On top of this, the return of the infrared sensor. So back in the day, the motion sensor used to be split up into one that gave light and one that gave sound due to infrared sensing. They were basically the same thing, and they removed it for good reason, because there was no reason to have it. But they could bring back the infrared sensor that would work like the Tier 3 motion sensor, where it would look in an area, but it wouldn't give any information inside the investigative zone. Rather, on the map inside the truck, it would give the location of the ghost as long as it were in this range. And naturally, it should have a larger range itself. So this can be really good to see if your ghost is hanging around the dot sensor a lot, but not giving dots, or just to see maybe if it's wandered outside the room easier, if it's a URA and you smudged it, so on and so forth. There's a lot of smaller things you can do with this that don't break the game, but allow you to have more information and just perform more strategic maneuvers in the game. And lastly, I had the idea of a remote light switch. So this would be a mount that you put on an existing light switch, or you can put it on the fuse box, and from the truck, you can flip these on. Now, one of the strengths of this would be that in the truck, you would not be limited by the ghost hunting. You can still turn the ghost on, or the lights on, which would be very useful for identifying if the ghost is a mare. You can play around with some of the lights and see if they go in these rooms with the lights on rather than the lights off. Kind of corralling it in a way, but it's only for the mare, and it makes it much less of a pain in the ass to discover if you're in a party. On top of this, you could put it on the fuse box, which would be super good, because one of the worst parts about playing on big maps at the moment is when the fuse box turns off. Like, imagine you're in high school, you're on the right of the map, the fuse box is upstairs on the left of the map, it turns off the light, it turns off the fuse box, and you have to make an entire trek all the way there and all the way back. You're probably already lost all your sanity, walking in the dark, the ghost's hunting off cooldown, and you're really just wasting a lot of time that you could be doing actually investigating the ghost. So having something like this would make it a buff to have in parties, or just maybe another easier way to turn on the lights if it's easier to walk to the van than it is all the way to the fuse box. And also, if it's not quite that faster, you'd at least have the ability to not have to lose so much sanity walking all the way there. Because losing sanity should be something that happens as you investigate. You're getting ghost events, or you're hanging out in the dark trying to get a spirit box or dot's response. There's already enough in the game to lower your sanity that you shouldn't be nerfed for playing on big maps, having to walk back and forth, getting the power on and off. So those are just a couple ideas for items I had they could make that would make it more useful. It would be kind of useful to play solo also, but it would be huge buffs to sitting in the truck. Now, there should still be some risks, so you can't just play the game just sitting in the truck and being a little scaredy cat. You gotta learn to play the game. So one thing could be that whenever the Djinn uses its ability to zap players of their sanity, if a camera is in range, it'll also zap the players in the truck. And in general, there can be more interactions too. Like maybe if the Raiju does something that produces EMF 5 and it's caught on camera, then someone viewing from the camera will lose a little bit of sanity. And so little things like this will give a little bit more risk to the player. Maybe not directly to the player in the truck, but in general, so the ghost will start to hunt more and more because you're lowering your sanity. Kind of a nerf to your teammates, but they'll be able to spread that information like, hey, stop putting us at risk. And but also with the horror update, this could also have some more things to it, making some more scary interactions happening, since you'd have lower evidence, even though you're sitting in the truck. Or, sorry, lower sanity. And so also, they could do something like they do in Lethal Company, where when a player dies, you have to go retrieve the body. Now, I know Phasmophobia is not as goofy as a game as Lethal Company, so it could just be as easy as press E and they teleport. But this would be a good way to make it so you can't just sit inside the truck the whole time, and also make a way so you don't lose as much money whenever you die, kind of like insurance. And this will give another, like I said, a way to make people go inside, so that if you're just sitting in the truck and your friend dies, you could just leave, but you could go save your friend's body and reduce some of the money that they lost due to dying. And so I think that kind of summarizes the whole thing. So just to summarize one more time, the Goryo, it should have some interaction with dots better than what it has, or it should interact more with dots. The Yurei, it just needs something completely new, revamped. Its two ways to identify are way too rare and way too hard to identify even when they happen. And the dots in general is just way too crap. It's too bad. The dots also need a rework or at least some kind of buff. Sitting in the truck should be something that is a strategic thing to do and not just a cowardly thing to do. And this would allow for a lot more small ghost interactions that wouldn't make the game easier per se, but it would make it so that you wouldn't have to be sitting in an investigative zone for 30 plus minutes. You wouldn't instantly get the stuff, but if you're between two ghosts, you can hunt for that thing so that you don't have to be playing in the same map, soaking up all your time, getting hunted every 25 seconds, and actually carry on with the game, earn some money, get some levels. So if there's anything here you do agree with or don't disagree with, please let me know in the comments. I really would love it if some kind of dev could look at this stuff. I know, like, CJ's very active with the community, and then the head, who I don't even remember his name because he never interacts with the community, I hope he at least looks at stuff like this and gives us some kind of insight on their thoughts. I know Horror 2.0 is coming, so they might have some changes planned, but I know besides the occasional dev update, which can be very scarce, we don't get a lot of stuff, and their timing when stuff is released, understandably, is changed a lot. I know they had the fire. I know they had difficulties with the console update. I'm absolutely not blaming them at all, but it would be nice to be kept in the loop as to what is going on with the game, so that the things that frustrations have between players could be addressed, at least in some way. So thank you all for listening. I think I'm going to go get a drink, and then we're going to continue playing Phasmophobia Insanity Randomizer Challenge. Alright, let's play some Phasmophobia. What things do we have left, by the way, over here? So, tap. Footprint photos. You know how bad we are at footprints. Yeah. Whoops. So, we're gonna not do that. But we are going to go pull up our IDE here. Play button. And then we're going to randomize our equipment. So, as expected, we will be having our Tier 1 dots, Tier 1 EMF, Flashlight 2. We will be having Book 3, Spirit Box 2, Thermometer 2, UV 3, Video Camera 2, Crucifix 3, Candle 3, Headgear 2, Igniter 2, Incense we have 2, Motion Sensor 3, Parabolic 1, Camera 3, Salt 2, Sanity 3. Alright. And then we will be playing on a random map. Today we are playing on Ridgeview Court. A nice simple start. Very good map. No complaints about Ridgeview. The only small map that I don't like very much is Edgefield, because it's very hard to get miling in that, right? And it's also hard to hide on the second floor, and there's nowhere to loop. There's a couple things. There's not really anywhere good to loop on Ridgeview either. We have this table, which is nice, but it's just nothing beats the countertop. Why did we bring this? Nothing beats the countertop. Fuck it. In Tanglewood or Willow. Don't know why we brought the book over the video camera. That's okay. So now we can focus a little more on hearing any sounds. Let's go ahead and turn our streak on. So last time we played, we had a streak of 10, and we unfortunately succumbed to a skill issue from an Unreal. We got 2 candles blown out. Upon lighting the 3rd one, we unfortunately had our lighter blown out, and we didn't realize it. So that was a very unfortunate moment. Just turning on the main lights. Oh, we don't need this one on. I don't know if you're noticing, but light sources are occasionally, like, blinking. Hello? Give us a sign. Hello, hello? It's a Dio. It's not a Dio, it's a Tay! Shit. I had to. If it were a Dio and I were just behind the fridge, I would have died. I could have probably got to the hiding spot there. It should have been slow when it came down the stairs if it were a Dio. But yeah, our bad. We should still get Thay there, though. Oh, it was a Mimic acting as a Thay! So that's how a Mimic should be. A Mimic should actually trick you with what it is. You shouldn't just... And that time we didn't just go around with our camera. But if we just went upstairs to the video camera, boom, we would have known it's not a Thay, because I don't even think the Thay has ghost orbs as evidence. So there it is. That's how a Mimic should be. Very nice. Let's go ahead and get our tier 1 dots once again. We're getting so unlucky with that. EMF 2, Flashlight 1, Book 1, Spirit Box 1, Thermo 3, UV 3, Camera 1, Crucifix 3, and then Firelight 2, Headcam 1, Igniter 3, Candle 2, wait, hold on. Smudge Stick 1, Motion Sensor 1, Parabolic 1, Camera 1, Salt 1, Sanity 1. So this has to absolutely be the worst one we've ever had, and we're doing this on Brownstone High School.
We've arrived. Check the equipment.
Life is so hard, man.
Before investigating. I've got a report that suggests a possible ghost sighting.
This is gonna be rough, guys. I need all your energy. Oh, get on the school bus. So we have basically the worst equipment of all of them. The only ones we got buffed were EMF 2, and then arguably you could say we got a good thermometer and UV at being tier 3. But one could argue quite the opposite. But those being our high tier ones was actually bad luck. Speaking of bad luck, since the last one was a Mimic, the odds that it was a Mimic and it was a Thay, we should have this on, was just really low. So we got so unlucky there. Since it was a Mimic, it had the same chance of being a Deogen. Although if it was a Dio, you know what? We shouldn't have even thought it could have been a Dio, because we like just got in the house. What's wrong with us? Oops, wrong room. This one? No, it's the next one. I feel like I have to be quieter when I'm playing on the parabolic. Okay, so we were not right. It's actually the other way. I'll go this way just so we can see some new sights. Not that we're seeing much. So maybe, just maybe we should play with sound sensors more. The problem is, since we're doing random, we have to take 4 sound sensors, or it'd be useless on a big map. But if we don't get a big map, we're wasting equipment. You know what I mean? Okay. Turn on sync, let's go. That's huge. So now we know there is a good chance that the ghost is in one of these bathrooms. Lo and behold, we have, ooh, 2 interactions already. I'm gonna set that there, and I'm gonna turn these off. Hello? Is there anything to throw? Oops. touched a cell. Or not a cell, a bathroom wall. Door. Nope. It's not doing it on the floor. Well, that might be out of the sphere. Alright, can we place that somewhere? Thank you. So we should be able to safely throw that there. Now, an issue is, since this ghost is in the bathroom, we don't really have anywhere to hide. Which is obviously one of the downsides of Brownstone High School in the first place. As you will hear me say over and over again, they simply just need to add more hiding spots. Ran into a tree. Because in my experience, the bathrooms are not guaranteed hiding spots. I've been checked several times, and I know how to hide. I'm not stupid. In fact, if you look at my last video on I think it was on Grafton, a ghost just walked into my hiding spot for no reason. It was insane. I don't know what's going on with hiding spots. Let's go ahead and... yeah, this is fine. We need to make another trip. Anyway. We can go this way and get some lights on this time. Is there a light switch here? There is. So we shouldn't lose any sanity walking this way now. We got really lucky finding the ghost this early. So this might not be as bad as it sounds. So before, if you stood here, you would lose a lot of sanity. But I think now we won't, just simply because the light is on in this area. In this room. Okay. Blinky lights. You can't sit these on sinks, which is obviously terrible because now we don't have anywhere to sit it. We can do that maybe. Go ahead and look for a moment. See if we can see any orbs. Any dots. Naturally, I do not expect to see dots. Dots, the famous Pokemon. I am going to go this way. Wait, do you hear that? Oh my god, man. Whoa, it's going through the thing. Hello? Can we call a plumber? Alright, let's go. Several EMFs, but no EMF 5 yet. Something to think about. We will go this way, because it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if it hunted. I think it just started to do something again, but we're out of here. Now, I said in my previous rant that tripods are useless. The one thing that they're useful for is keeping your camera stable. It makes it less likely for them to be knocked over. But also, the increased tiers of the cameras themselves do that. So they make it less likely for them to be knocked over. So it's not very useful. I know they did this for performance issues, but only being able to see this in a certain range is also kind of a nerf. We should have put the ghost writing book on the ground, but we're not quite done in there anyway. Let's get these. So I think from now on we will bring a sound sensor, and I will be honest with you. I have not really used sound sensors at all. I know what they do, but I haven't actually had my own experience with them. Is this floating, by the way? No, it just has tiny legs. They normally aren't legs like that. They're usually just boards. Yeah, so when I read on the wiki that they give you the sound in the truck, that was actually new to me. And that is kind of useful. So we will try to utilize that a little better. Oh, we probably didn't get the spirit box still. Shit. Oh, okay, so we don't need it. Freezing temps. And no, oh, we don't need that. No ghost orbs, so it's not a mimic. There are a couple tricky ones here. We'll keep our eyes out on. So we want to go to the truck, and then we want to plan. This is a really good way to play Insanity, by the way. Whenever you get your evidence, you want to get to the truck, and you want to just think about what you'll do for each ghost. So I already know. This is also a good way to learn what evidences each ghost have. So right now I know that this will include a Yurei, a Demon, a Revenant, an Onryo, a Moroi, and then I don't know what else. Oh, obviously Hantu, yeah. Okay, so we also have Oni, Shade, Jin, Twins, and not Mimic. So, let's discuss. Revenant is going to be in a hunt. Jin will also be in a hunt. So the Demon will have to strategically place the crucifixes, but before we do that, we'll need to keep it in there and do candle tests with the Onryo. Shade will be very difficult. Oni will just have to see during a hunt. Hantus will also tell during hunts. Twins will also have to be during hunts. And Moroi, believe it or not, is not an option because it has to have Spirit Box as evidence. So we're not going to have those. Bring Smudge Stick now. You never know. If it's a Onryo, it might be able to hunt. Onryo, I think that would be the only one. Oh, and obviously Demon. The Onryo can hunt at 60% sanity. The fact that it hasn't hunted yet points to a possibility of Demon, but we have spent a good amount of time in the light. Do-do-do-do. Alright. Good candle here. Do temperature check. You never know. Still freezing in here. So, pretty much everything is just going to be a result of a hunt. So right now we... Dude, you are crazy. Doesn't need to be there, but I just don't want it on the sink anymore. I don't want it to get wet. Okay, that's one. We'll stand here. Because I think being near a candle no longer reduces sanity drain. I think before, holding a candle prevented it and being near it reduced it, but I think now you have to hold it for reduced sanity drain, and that's it. I'm pretty sure. Let me just verify there's no orbs here. Don't want to get bamboozled by another Mimic. You are insane. Very active ghost. It's doing that while we're in the room with it, by the way, so I'm going to go ahead and roll out Shade for now, and we might come back to that later. But it shouldn't interact with things while we're in the room. If that is 2. I'm going to keep this on. I want to make sure I know that I am the one turning on and off my lighter. Okay, touch the door. That could have been it leaving, or it could have just been a regular touch. We don't know for sure. We could have brought motion sensors, but the map is way too big to deal with that. We have one more candle. It's doing a lot of things, so it should interact with this. Touch the bathroom door. I'd like us to get our third candle blowout into a hunt. That would be very nice. Although this is a good way to identify an Onryo, it's actually kind of the opposite that's more useful. If the ghost burns the crucifix while the candle is lit, you can rule out Onryo immediately. Whereas if the ghost blows out 3 candles and then hunts, you can only say that it might be an Onryo. Okay, so it blew out the 3rd candle, and it didn't attempt to hunt. So we know that it's not an Onryo. I'm gonna do our best to actually have these all the way open, because the Yurei is the only ghost that, well, the Yurei is more likely, I should say, to completely close down these doors. Okay, so now that we know it's not an Onryo, we're gonna take this crucifix, and we want the range to not encompass the range of the room. So maybe like here. Because at the same time, if it hunts in the back of the bathroom, not even this will protect it. So what we can do is we can place these down. And we can head outside. We shouldn't go this way because if it hunted, we'd be kind of screwed. But we already did, so it's fine. And we're going to go get another crucifix and put it in one of the adjacent rooms. We're gonna get this, and we're also gonna get a motion sensor, maybe a couple motion sensors. Give a little more information on the array. So I'm not sure if there's actually anywhere to put this outside the room. I'm gonna assume that when a array is trapped in its room, it won't attempt to leave, as in, like, step in the frame of the door. Just watching the front door as I walk. Okay. If that's not the case, then there actually is some ghosts that it's nearly impossible to check, or some maps that it's impossible to check for the array. So I'm gonna put this here. Instantly gave the symbol, but that could have been me, or it could have just been what happens when you place it, maybe? Nope, that one didn't do it. Alright, so I'm gonna take this crucifix and I'm gonna place it, like, as close against the wall as possible without it phasing through the floor, as it's known to do for some reason. Get these bad boys back. Get the flashlight, why not? So we can go ahead. I just saw our breath, but just to verify. It is very freezing in here. Last time we had very freezing. It was a Hantu. So, I don't know if that's coincidence. We can light this for fun. And at this point, there's not really a lot we can do, is there? Observe the doors for the Ure. Observe the crucifixes for the demon. The twins, with how the map is shaped. Oh, hello. Almost exclusively going to be a hunt. Since I walked in the bathroom, I haven't... Okay, that's a tough one. Because the ghost walked in here before the crucifix burned. So we can't really say it was the radius of the crucifix that did that. We should have timed, and we didn't. The demon has a 5-second less window to hunt again after that happens. How are these? Good. Make sure it didn't just change rooms. Oh, I forgot there were so many doors. Open those all up. We are pretty sure it's in there, but we don't know for sure. It is tricky when it's between the demon and twins, by the way, because the twins is able to, or are able to, interact with something far away, and the demons have increased radius for interaction. So, a little tricky. Little tricky. Now, a hunt would give us some good information as to what ghost it is. It's probably not a demon. So we should probably... It's a gem. Alright, there you have it. That's the Jinn test. When a Jinn gets, is outside of a certain radius of you and it has line of sight, it'll sprint at you. So you could hear how quickly that changed. It wasn't just it speeding up due to line of sight. It was actually it getting to its max speed instantly due to me being far enough away. Plug in these to see if it's on. It's not. This ghost is still hunting, but we'll be safe over here. Okay, it's done. Let's go take our money. Did we get any objectives? We got all 3 objectives. That's very nice. It's really nice that it was a Jinn, by the way, because turning off the fuse box on the big map is one of the most asshole things a ghost can do, and a Jinn cannot do that. Alright, let's go. Really good investigation. Self 5. Good job, me. This would be really awkward if it's not a Jinn. Oh yeah. And Miller. Another thing I kind of miss is names being useful. I haven't read a ghost name in so long. Because remember when you read a ghost name, it used to impact its ability to hunt? It would make it more aggressive, I think. At least that's what they always claim to do. Look at that money.
I've got some jobs ready for you.
Abilities use 0. You'll basically never get the ability from the Jinn. It's kind of disappointing. A singular hunt, and it basically stayed in its room. That's kind of cool. So we'll go ahead and add one to the streak here. Yeah, it used to make a lot more sense, the Ghost's name. It used to have at least some level of impact on the game. Holy shit. So now it basically doesn't, and I haven't read the Ghost's name in a long, long time. And I played this game for a while. Instant still reads the names every time, which I think is kind of cool, because like I said, it's not useful to the game, but he's played the game obviously for longer, and he played the game a lot more when he was older, so he's probably used to that meaning something. Alright, so I will start bringing one of each of these other things. Oops, shit. Just so we have them. And this does actually bring them, right? Yep, we have enough of this stuff. I think it would prompt us to purchase them if we didn't. So let's go ahead and go to Sunny Meadows. Now, we got some very good gear, though. I don't think this will be bad at all. My dog made a little sound. We're going to go for a walk later because it's kind of nice out. Alright, Sunny Meadows, let's see what you got for me. With the EMF, or the tier 2 head cam. Oh, unfortunately, the tier 1 camera, it's a very awkward camera. We can look on this, but it makes it even tinier, I think. Yeah, look how tiny that is. Tiny cam, tiny cam. Pop that. I really think on this map, you know what? No. We need the parabolic. That would be a lot more wise. The parabolic is way more useful here. And we have the tier 2 parabolic, which is good. I think all the parabolics are good at what they do. In fact, this one can be a little misleading, giving us all the decibels when nothing's actually happening. Like that, for example. 2 dinks. We're going to immediately go down to every position that the fuse box can be. If it's down here, we'll just start our investigation downstairs. Let me in. And it is down here, so we will start down here. We have a light in this room. I don't think we do. So yeah, we'll just head down all the corridors. We'll get the lights in the main rooms while we're here. We can, so we're doing something, we can poke our heads in these rooms, shut the doors behind us, so we know that an open door means it was the ghost. Except this one. We'll keep that one there. Someone got it exploded there. Very amazing map. This map is so good. Make the wings not close, and boom. You got a perfect map. I think something that stands out about Sunny Meadows also is the shape of it. So it is hard to find the ghost room. The map is freaking massive. And by the way, a good hiding spot. But a thing about Sunny Meadows is once you've found the ghost room, the distance between the ghost room and the front door is very intuitive. It's pretty clear. Whereas on high school and on prison, high school, the layout is in a way such that the ghost room could be on the opposite side of the front door, which would be very awkward. And on the other hand, on prison, the layout just feels just completely jumbled and random. Where once again... Wait, permanent sound? Interesting. What was I saying? The layout just makes it so you're probably going to be far away. Like, if you're in the cells, you're kind of screwed. So the light's on. We don't want to lose too much sanity. Oh, the light naturally flickers there. That's so good. Dude, it is insane how good this map is. This map does have a loop like Brownstone, but it's smaller. Brownstone High School is the loop. Poking our heads in, looking for anything. If it's a room with a cross on it, it could be upside down. I don't think the downstairs rooms have that. Oh my god. Shut up, ghosts. You're gonna make me pee my pants. It's a blocked hiding spot. The parabolic no longer gives you just the permanent fly sound anymore, which is awesome. Because that was kind of a terrible thing. Hello, Lisa. Sorry you died. That would be cool if the model there would always be the ghost model. Oh, we have this. Did you hear that? Maybe I'm imagining things. Thought it, like, threw something. Wait. Wait, we didn't turn this on. I don't even know where the light switch is. It's right here. Did we turn this on? Wait. Wait, this light was just on, but the light switch was off, right? Am I crazy? Please give us our breath. What do we have? Are you here? Are you close? Are you friendly? Where are you? Are you here? Are you close? Dude, this map is so cool. Look at that, man. That's so spooky. That's kind of like what Asylum used to feel like, but better. Anything I've said about Asylum in the past, just let me be clear that this map is better than Asylum. I did not turn that on, I swear. So this is what I think we should do. Then we should go over here. Then we should go back to the truck. And I think now would be a good time to try to do some truck sitting. With the limited tools that we have been given. So what this means is we'll go get the sound sensor, we'll get the camera on a tripod, and we'll get a motion sensor. And we'll see what we can deduce about this ghost. And we'll see if we are even in the right location. Because it's still pretty likely that we're not. I'm going to turn this on. Remember that I did that, because I've been tricking myself lately, apparently. So I'm going to set this stuff on the desk. I'm going to go get some shit. I'm going to change this to downstairs, and I'm going to take some sanity medication. Don't know which room this is, but I think we'll see it on the map. So we'll get this. We have a camera in the truck, so we'll get this. And maybe we'll just get another one in there. Actually, this should be enough. Let's go ahead and... Let's get a dots in there, actually. Of course, we're not going to actually be able to get this down there, because we need to place the camera, so... this is fine. We need to first verify that it's in the room, before we go ahead and go too crazy. Oh, right, we have to always hold this. Because another thing is, if we're wrong, it's not really terrible if we just leave these things in that room. We have more cameras. We don't really need a tripod. And we took sanity also just because we've been in the dark for a while. Actually, I don't know if we really have. Got spooky lights. Maybe it's the payout of big maps is too low. Maybe that's it. Let's see what we get after this. Dude, I felt scared coming over here. Holy shit. What was that? Did you see that? What the fuck? That was strange. Can we see flies? So we don't see the radius of this, by the way. And there's a way to change the area of this, right? Can we see the radius at all? Or is it just massive? I'm gonna assume it's massive, and then we'll put this, like, here. This is a really abysmal radius. Again, we don't even know that that's the ghost room. I wonder if we're gonna get constant fly sounds for this. Maybe we just trolled ourselves. Oh, there's a light. Okay, so we turned on that one. What is this room, by the way? To a teased extension, it goes to an upstairs, and there's no upstairs that we can use. Alright, so let's just see if we can gather any sort of information that tells us that the ghost is even there. It says less cameras than even the high school, which is kind of interesting. Oh, we increase the radius here. And we can see our motion sensor there. So the question is, did we assume? Did we assume? There's also the possibility that the ghost is a shade or a wraith or something. Or, sorry, a wraith or a phantom or something. Teleported to our location, roamed to turn on the light, and then went back. That is a possibility. We're not getting anything on any of the things we placed, so we may have assumed too early. That's completely fine. Get some more stuff in there, and then let's walk around with the parabolic a little bit more. I think what I'm going to try to do is bring a camera and a thermometer. Oh, okay, we did assume incorrectly. And we know that the bathroom is actually on this floor in a bathroom. So we need to make the loop. Hopefully I don't turn on too many lights. So unfortunately, we're just going to have stuff sitting down there. It is what it is. We know we have a bathroom somewhere around here with a ghost in it. I think it's probably the... Wait, can these... I think we tripped the fuse box. It's okay. We'll get it back. Alright. So we'll let this come down. Check for Orbeez here real quick. We definitely do have our breath. And so what I want to do here is go back. Okay, we're going to go this way this time, because this one is smaller. We'll know to come this way, and I want to see if it's worth truck sitting in Sunny Meadows. So what this means is we're still going to put what we need in there. Hopefully we don't lose too much sanity doing what I want to do here. So we're going to have to make several trips. We're going to put a sound sensor, a motion sensor, and... Oh, this is what we need. Turn this on the way out, but make sure we turn it off when we come back. Hi, buddy. We'll want to have our sound sensor, motion sensor, and video camera in there. And then we'll also want to make sure we have dots, ghost rating, and our EMF in there as well. I'm Not sure if anything else can give us evidence, any information at all. This is something I actually still don't know. I know previously the ghosts used to, or the spirit box used to give random responses. Will that be still if we're not around? Like, can we put a spirit box that's on in the ghost room? This is a curious question for myself. Because this also would make truck sitting a little better. And the beautiful thing about truck sitting in insanity mode is it doesn't just nullify the entire experience, but it does allow you to save sanity in these bigger maps. So if we could get any information at all from the truck, that would be really helpful. Because on big maps like this, once you're at the point where you're narrowing down on what the ghost is, you probably are just experiencing hunt after hunt after hunt due to having no sanity. I don't think we turned off those lights like I said we would, by the way. Whoops. I'm looking in these rooms because I know there's a hiding spot there. It's really far away. This is slightly open, but that's probably just the map. There's also supposed to be a hiding spot. Is it this? Yeah, we have a hiding spot here, and this is relatively close to the ghost room. We don't have the UV with us, unfortunately. So I'm gonna do this. Chill. I don't know if that's useful, but I don't know what it'll look like in the truck. If we're gonna see exactly where the ghost activated the motion sensor, or we're just gonna see that it did. But it would be good information to know if it's leaving the room or not. We're lucky to not have been hunted yet, by the way. I feel like chance of hunt should be lowered on large maps. Or at least should like scale exponentially or something, you know what I mean? So like hold on. This. What am I trying to say? It should be like at 0 sanity they'll still hunt and hunt and hunt and hunt, but at like let's say it hunts at 50% and its threshold is 50%, then it's less likely to hunt than it would be on Tanglewood. I hope that makes sense. Let's turn on this light. So we just did experience catching the ghost on this, by the way. I don't think this will make a sound for you. Make sure this can actually see this, by the way. We can't actually see where this is placing it. Actually, better to just drop it, isn't it? Okay, chill. Remember, I have this cam on. I don't want to get killed. So last but not least, we really would like to get, we'd like to get a ghost writing book in there. Okay. Tier 3 dots is so good. As long as the ghost actually interacts with it. Oh, we can rotate the camera. That's amazing. Wait. Okay, I was gonna say, are we not able to stop it? Motion sensor. We should see. There's not an area around the motion sensor, so I have a feeling we're not going to get any information as to whether it left or not. So basically, the tier 3 motion sensor sucks. That's all there is to it. We still have no information about the ghost, by the way. we're gonna get these in here. Now, one bad thing about doing this is if we rely on the truck to see if the ghostwriting book was written in, if we can't see it very well, we're not going to hear the EMF if it happens while we're walking out. Holy shit. Dude, screw off, man. Are you here? Are you close? Where are you? Are you here? Are you close? Are you friendly? Where are you? Are you here? Okay, so let's leave that there. Let's pile some stuff here. We also want to get the ghostwriting book down and get some EMF down. So fortunately, you can't place this. Let's get as many throwable objects as we can here. Oh, I was holding this the whole time. Where's this? It's here. We should have the light on so we're not losing sanity while this happens. We're going to try to deduce as much as possible from the truck here. Make sure it's not freezing still, because that would kind of ruin everything. But it's not freezing. Did I do that? See how it moved at the same time? Door touch. No UV. Oh, that wasn't this one. It was that one. Okay, we'll check UV on that one. Let's move this back and instead place this like at the edge. Yeah, no UV. Nice. And then let's just go ahead and we'll leave this lighter here. Make sure it's not in the bake. Interesting that the EMF is in range of that. Alright, let's go back to the truck. That's the point of this, right? Oh, we almost left the light on. Don't leave the light on. I wonder if it could be a mare because we turned on the light and then it started doing things outside of the room. I actually don't know off the top of my head, because I know a mare is more likely to enter a room with the lights off than on during a hunt, but I don't know if it's more likely to roam to off, like rooms with the lights off outside of hunts. Does that make sense? Ding ding. And let's just see what we can identify, okay? See what happens. We have motion sensor, we have sound sensor in there, and we're just going to look here for a moment. We should both see and hear if the ghost book gets written in. We have a couple things piled up to see if it throws a bunch of stuff. We have our dots sensor scanning. We would be able to see orbs, which we don't, which, by the way, means that we should go ahead and rule out the mimic. We should hear if we get EMF 5. We should hear if it writes in the book. We should hear poltergeist explosion. We should hear anything. But at the moment, we are not. It'd be nice to be able to close the truck door without leaving, and that would make it so there's less sound of rain and stuff. I just tried to open a door. And it wasn't this one. I have a pretty good feeling that it is going to be dots as evidence, because we haven't gotten anything else. It could still write in the book, though. It would be really unlucky if it changed rooms, because that just ruins this whole setup, and you saw how long that took. But it isn't doing anything in this room. And it is messing with the other door a lot. You can also do this to see if there's UV. I don't know if I placed that in the correct spot for that. Now, if the ghost could do anything, that would be helpful. I heard the next door again. Okay, motion sensor. It may have just walked back in the room. We don't know for sure. May have just walked back out as well. Another motion sensor sound. And light. It is not doing anything. Okay, so what we'll probably do is get another EMF in there. Put it by the door. I want to hear, like, the actual evidence. We'll get a smudge stick also on the way and back, just to be sure. But we might just not be able to get any information this way. It might just be an unfortunate fail. So let's take that, and then this, and head on in. And also, real quick, let's look, okay? So if it were to be ghost orbs, UV, and freezing, or not freezing, spirit box. No spirit box. I'm trying to see if there's anything we can rule out yet, but it doesn't appear to be. Sure, there's a hunt on the way. Can we turn this on, or are we at the limit? We're not at the limit. But it doesn't really do anything. I think it still would help prevent sanity, though. It's a lighter. That's fun. Fun lighter. Alright, so now let's put this EMF here. So we are getting EMF here. But our sound sensor is not picking up on it, which is interesting. Nice. Dude. You're insanely useless. Okay. Is it just really quiet? Still no freezing. Are you here? Are you close? Are you friendly? Where are you? Why are you here? Are you here? Are you close? Are you friendly? Why are you here? Where are you? Where are you? Are you here? Are you close? Are you friendly? Don't seem to be getting anything on this. Put that. You can put that in the sink. It's fine. It's waterproof. I think that's where we'd see fingerprints. Not freezing. You can see it's hanging out above 1 degree, or at 1 degree, or somewhere around that area. But it's not getting any lower. The book's not written in. Nothing there. This is still the room. So, we're gonna go back to the truck. There are better things we could... Oh? Oh. EMF 5. In fact, we got 2 EMF 5s at once. Get an EMF 5 over here. Alright. Well, let's actually step back and think for a moment then. So we have Spear, we have Wraith, we have Jin, Shade Oni. We don't have Goryo because it would have to have dots. We don't have Obake because it would have to have fingerprints. But we can have Raiju, we can have Myling, and we have the twins. Now, I don't think it's been doing anything while we were in there with it, so we can't necessarily rule out Shade quite yet. But obviously, first and foremost, we're going to go grab some salt. So let's go ahead and do that. Because notice several times when I'm about to try to go back to the truck, we hear maybe the water turns on, or maybe it interacts with an object or something. He touched the door beside me several times, but not my door. So that's very interesting. We might have ourselves a Shade here. But just remember how chaotic the Spirit can be. It's really hard to ever rule out Spirit. Think. Remember, we have 2 nearby hiding spots. don't have a polter. It does still appear to be in here. I think I just accidentally used two at once. Whoops. Okay, so we can go ahead and rule out Wraith now that it's stepped in the salt. Hasn't turned off the fuse box yet. Only it's going to be a little difficult. I have a strong feeling we're getting shade here. Listen, we're in the room with it. Please take note that nothing seems to be happening. Now, keep in mind also, it can go into the room next to us and interact with one of these objects. So actually, what might be safe is just to be safe. Try to place stuff in the middle of the room just so it's most likely, what the hell, to interact with this stuff when we're not in here only. Goes down. Ghost writing book is also something you can interact with, so let's go ahead and place that down. Is there anything else in this room? These? We just want them in the middle of the room. Now it can still hunt us outside the room, so we gotta be careful. So notice it didn't do anything while we were here. I'm gonna step out now. And let's listen. Ambience. You don't need that dots running anywhere, by the way, but the dots is a pretty nice light source that doesn't impact any of the ghost's abilities. So, okay, it did something already. Let's see if it tosses an object. And actually, let me do something also here. Okay, it at least did two things already. Now, it would be really free to just bring a camera in here, wouldn't it? I'm gonna put this over here. Hopefully that can read the door and those objects. Actually, we can just bring the objects a little closer. And we're tunnel visioning pretty hard on the shade, but we've been in this investigative zone for a long time without hearing, or without experiencing much. So now, we're gonna hang out in the ghost room. We got our smudge stick just in case. And we'll see if we have anything happen in our room, and anything happen in the room adjacent to us. Okay, so it's in this room with us right now. I don't know how much it updates, so if it goes here to walk out, I think that's probably me. I don't know if it'll update when it's leaving. Does this sense me, by the way? Maybe it's on like a cooldown, and that's why it can't track the ghost leaving. That went there. Maybe it's on like a 10-second cooldown, like the mayor's ability. Which, by the way, is how they could fix the names being useless now. They could just make it so when you say the ghost name, it increases its hunt threshold. Or maybe just the chance to hunt. Oh, that wasn't me. But it's on a cooldown, so you can't just spam the name and then get a guaranteed hunt. Maybe I don't activate this at all. Let's move a couple of these. Do I have two? Oh, no, I don't. Let's move a couple of these outside the room. I can't tell if I activated it or not. Look at that. Okay, so it's outside the room. Oh, it just did twice. So maybe it updates whenever the ghost changes room. It's just like hanging out with me. Are you in shade? Also, can we hide in here if we needed to? I don't think we can. Sunny Meadows isn't the best for hiding spots either, but it's better than the other big maps. Okay. So, oh. Okay, so touching the door is not something you can go off of, because remember, it's all about the ghost being in the room with you, and the ghost has an interaction radius for activating stuff, so It easily could have been outside the room and then touched the door. Now, if we saw the motion sensor blink towards us and then immediately saw the door touch, that'd be a little bit more hint, but even then we can't be sure that it didn't walk out first. Now, if we see the motion sensor blink towards us and then we see like a pillow thrown, then we know something's up. Another issue, by the way, is that these might be the same room. I'm not sure. But I put something outside. There's no way that's part of the room. Ugh. Let's go. This is a very long video for 2 runs, I know. Alright, now that we've spent all this time here, I want to get a camera to get all this money. Hold on. Was that outside the room or over there? I want to get a camera for all this money. And on the way out, since I've been here for so long in the dark, if we experience a hunt, that is pretty shade-like. So we're going to go ahead and leave now. Careful around those pillows, that impeded my ability to move. I hope this is at least informative to you all watching out there. I think we're handling this very well. I think we're being very strategic in our movements here. That door is shut. And we definitely didn't shut it. That sounds downstairs. That was interesting. Help. I think hunt durations are longer in large maps, by the way, which is fine. But I think they should be less frequent. Not that we've had an issue. So we're likely dealing with a shade here. Or maybe a twins. That's hunting from downstairs. Just the most passive twins ever. Can I come out? Maybe not. I think it just got close to us for a moment and then turned around. Alright. Yeah, so very shade-like behavior there. Very, very shade-like. Going to grab a camera. We have a shitty camera, it's fine. So it's better to let it hunt, by the way, I think. A crucifix doesn't tell you much, because it could hunt from outside of the crucifix's range, and then what? But if it hunts, you actually can hear where it's hunting from. Worst case, at least get a better idea of where it's hunting from. I'm going to turn on all the lights along the way. Just for visibility's sake. Did walk towards here. Okay, so it didn't start downstairs. Touch that door. That sounds like it's going to do an airball. Maybe not. It's so cool. It just made a bunch of places for picture collection. This is insane. And this is two things of salt, by the way. The ghost does appear to still be in here. It just was there, so it's about to step on the salt, I think. No, it walks towards us. Those pillows are not moved. How did it not move them on its way out? Okay, the ghost is in with us now, by the way, so if it hunts, that's suspicious. We know the ghost is in here until that salt gets stepped in. The ghost should not be able to hunt. If it does hunt, we do not have a twins. Or we do not have a shade. I went at this last water step in when it's probably not going to. I am interested in seeing, since we do have a shade, or since I suspect we have a shade, sorry. Oh, it just left. Now it can hunt. It hasn't done a single event. Okay, so I believe it's back in the room with us now. Be nice to have more salt so we can be a little more careful about knowing where the ghost is. We should see no hunt. I'm gonna stay in this room for like a whole extra minute here. So this timer on my screen says 31. How about that? That's about 40 more seconds from now. After that, I'm gonna step out of the room and see if it hunts. I'll hold a lighter, actually, then we can see if it blows it out. I don't think it should. This is the infinite lighter. Alright, so we're gonna stay here for about 10 more seconds. And we should, by the way, we should have very, very low sanity. We've been in this room for a long time. We do get reduced sanity drain for being on single player and for being in a large map, though, so it's hard to tell. But it is now time for us to step out here. Looks like it may have come in here. I think there's usually a glass there. Might be wrong. Okay, we've been out of the room for 30 seconds now. No hunt. We might just be having just a difficult ghost. We should stay in the dark. Just to lower our sanity. In case it hasn't lowered enough. Which I'd be surprised to hear it didn't. Come on, guy. We did turn off the fuse box, right? No, that we blew the fuse box. It's insane how passive this ghost is, even for a shade. Hunt? We should have done a gin test there, but if it walks past, maybe we will. I think it did. Hello? 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 Where'd it go? Hello? 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 Seems to be stuck in the next room. Hello? Hi? Really? Okay. We don't need this, but I would like this light on. We don't need this door open, by the way. Let's turn on this, and then... I don't think it's a twins. Can't really rule that out yet. I don't think... we still have to test if it's a djinn or a spirit. We should be able to get the ghost from one hunt, actually. So let's let it hunt again, and then try to immediately draw it our way. Wink womp, wink womp. Wink womp, wink womp. I can't wait for the horror update. I hope they address some of our concerns in it. I just read today that they're planning on a Ure overhaul in the horror update. That's all. I don't think they've not confirmed anything else. I would expect all ghosts, or most ghosts, to get some kind of change in a horror update. Hello? Hello? Can you hurry? I have to use the bathroom and the sink sounds aren't helping. I don't want to go in there when it attempts to hunt and then it cancels it out because it's a shade. The thing is, I think with all of our testing with the shade, it hasn't done a lot when we were outside of the room either. So this is really hard to conclude. Okay. Hello? Hello? Hello, hello? 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 This way. No, over here. Over here, hello? Doesn't appear to be a djinn. I need to see it, though. Doesn't appear to be an Oni. We smudged at 134.50. I don't think it's a twins, but... say 134.50. So, another almost 30 seconds. But not really. Actually, yeah, another 40 seconds, so 136.20. That's when it should hunt. I know we left a smudge stick here, so I'm going to grab that real quick. Now, this can be tricky with the shade because it could just choose not to hunt. I believe, my current understanding, just from what someone said, I didn't see this from a professional source, but I believe that when the shade attempts to hunt, there's a 50% chance that it just won't. So if it is a shade, it can still hunt like now. This is now the window when it can hunt. We need to listen to its speed one more time without having it speed up, just to see if it's twins. Not a spirit. So I don't know if you guys consider this cheating. But how I used to play the game a lot is when the ghost was hunting, I would take a beats per minute test thing online where you just click a button to get the beats per minute, and I would click at the rate that the ghost walked, and I would use that to see what kind of ghost it was. So I don't remember the exact numbers, but I remember 116 beats per minute being the standard ghost walking pace. And then for twins, it would be a little bit less or more. Let me out. So I consider that to be using your tools and not to be cheating. I did it there and got 116, which would make it not a twins, and that would make it a shade. That didn't do a single ghost event, by the way. Yeah, I think that's a good, useful tool. I think it would actually be cool if they included something like that in the game. You still would have to do it yourself. It wouldn't listen to the beats per minute and do it for you. You'd still have to do it yourself. But it'd be cool to have officially that is a good thing to do. And there you go, by the way. We have a shade. We did basically as much as we normally do, which is like 1 or 2 objectives, because we don't really try to do it. And we got a lot of photos, and we still didn't really get that much money. So this is a good indication that big maps are not worth doing. It spent a lot of time outside of its room. It only did 4 hunts. It did 0 events. And this, keep in mind, was an investigation of 46 minutes. 46 minutes, 0 events. And actually what I've been told is that Shades will actually do more events when you're around. So that might actually be wrong, or I may have just gotten an insanely unlikely scenario. But yeah, 0 events, 4 hunts. That's obviously very Shade-like. And it didn't hunt until we started getting our sanity low and being outside of the room. So that very much did feel like a shade, and I feel like that was a very good run. We were only able to do 2 on top of our description of our suggested changes. So I still think that was good. We're on our way back to getting a streak higher than 10 what we had last time. We're going to be a lot more careful with Onryos in the future, and we're going to be a lot more careful just in general with Ghosts. So I hope this video did very well teaching you how to deal with shades. And then I actually can't even remember what our last Ghost was. My memory is really shot right now. I need to go to the market, and I need to walk my dog, so that's what's important to me right now. But what is important to me later is coming back and getting some good ghost hunting going on. So thank you all for being here. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, and we'll just see you all next time. Have a good day. Goodbye.